Hello, welcome back to The Way UK. Yay. My name is Izzy. I'm one of your hosts today, and I'm joined by
Zoe
and
Solomon.
And today we are looking at another psalm.
Yay.
Previously
Classic.
we looked at Psalm 23, and today we're jumping a little bit more forward, and we're going to do Psalm 27.
Yay.
Whoa! But before we get into that, I have a request. Please, if you're on YouTube, may you like and comment and subscribe. And then if you're on any listening podcast situations like Spotify or Apple, leave a little rating and do whatever you can do to engage. And this basically just really helps our content get out there. And our vision is to share the good news of Jesus with every young person online. And you doing that helps us do that.
Indeed.
So that's all that. Let's jump into it.
Yippee! Roll the credits.
Psalm 27.
Let's jump into
Psalm
it.
27.
Right, I think let's split this in half so we can digest it a bit more digestibly.
Yeah, let's do it.
Sure.
Great.
So who's going to read? The Queen of the North?
I would love to read.
Great. Can you please
Izzy.
read verses 1 to 6 to me, please?
Take us there. So.
Okay. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked advance against me to devour me, it is my enemies and my foes who shall stumble and fall. Though an army besiege me, my heart will not fear. Though war break out against me, even then I will be confident. One thing I ask from the Lord, this only do I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze on the beauty of the Lord and to seek him in his temple. For in the day of trouble, he will keep me safe in his dwelling. He will hide me in the shelter of his sacred tent and set me high upon a rock. Then my head will be exalted above my enemies who surround me. At his sacred tent, I will sacrifice with shouts of joy. I will sing and make music to the Lord.
And we're going to stop there. We're stopping there because I feel like there's a bit of a shift in the psalm from that point. I feel like the first half is a lot of like David. Oh, it's David that wrote the psalm. We'll go into that in a second. Mm-hmm. David speaking about like, it feels like a lot of worship, a lot of like, whoa. And then the second half is a bit more him like wrestling with what that looks like when things aren't as easy.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So Zoe, would you like to give us a quick recap of who David is?
Yes, David was a shepherd boy. He was the youngest son of a man named Jesse in the Old Testament. I think we read about him in like 1 Samuel and 2 Samuel. And basically he was chosen by God and anointed by Prophet Samuel to be the future king of Israel. Mm-hmm. And he's basically a very renowned and famous king in the Bible. And he went on to write a majority of the Psalms. Yeah. A majority of the Psalms. He's a worship leader, a poet. He had a little bit of a moral failure, didn't he, with Bathsheba? But we'll talk about that another time.
We'll get there.
But he was described as a man after God's own heart.
Yeah.
A shepherd boy turned king who loved Jesus and
also,
loved God with everything.
Didn't he face like a lot of difficulties? Like this other guy like kept trying to kill him, and he was in hiding a lot, and so he really did face
he actually did
difficulties.
Yeah.
Like, I think it can be really easy to look at some of the characters in the Bible and be like, oh, we can see the full story, so we therefore think they're only content because we know the ending. But they didn't know the ending. No. He didn't know how it was all going to work out. And so a lot of these Psalms are him like processing when he's in the midst of real difficulty.
Yeah.
And that's where we jump into here. So let's start with this first half. What jumps out to you guys?
What's really interesting about this first half, and I know we mentioned the sort of the split, how it almost changes. I want to just come back to that really quick because I think if you just take this first half, it's very triumphant. Mm-hmm. You know, it looks like, I don't want to say boastful, but it's almost like you'll go, wow, what a man of great faith. He's got a lot going for him, you know? But then you get to the second half and you go, oh man, there's so much beneath the surface that he's battling and struggling with and almost lamenting about. And I find that quite interesting. And this first one, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? I love the double question. Mm-hmm. I love it. It's almost like a parallel in a way that sort of, I guess, emphasizes these parts of God that he is a refuge from the things that cause us fear. And I think that's just very interesting.
Yeah.
Anything to add on the first verse?
Just that, well, I just read in our notes here that apparently this is the only direct application of the name light to God in the Old Testament. But in the New Testament, like I think of John 1:5, which is the light shines in the darkness and the darkness has not overcome
There's
it.
such a theme of light, isn't there?
Such a theme of light. But I don't know, I love that. And it also reminds me of Psalm 139. Sorry, I have something in my throat. Excuse me. Thanks for bearing with me. But in Psalm 139 where it says, the darkness is as light to you, God.
Yeah.
So I really like this imagery of God as light, and it also kind of leads and draws us to like God as our shepherd and God as our guider as well, because it's like you need light to be able to see, don't you? So I love that.
Then I think like in verses like looking at 2 and 3, it's a lot about enemies, a lot about army, and again like David was a warrior, a soldier. I don't know what counts as what. He fought. He did some fighting.
His fair share.
So actually, like his confidence was like battle tested. Where like this, because he is speaking in such confidence of who God is and how God works, and we learn so much about God's character through David's understanding of him. But him speaking, it is very battle tested, and he knew God's goodness in the midst of danger and despair, and that's almost like why it's like, I will be confident. I've got underlined as like in all of that. I think that's really powerful.
You know what I find quite interesting about that second verse. So when the wicked advance against me to devour me, it is my enemies and my foes who will stumble and fall. In the NRSV, bring back the NRSV. In the NRSV, I've got it written down here. It says, when evildoers assail me to devour my flesh, and it goes on from there. But what it kind of reminds me of what Goliath says to him it's like a young David. For those who don't know, Goliath and David had a bit of a bout in first Samuel. And in 1 Samuel 17, verse 44, Goliath says to him, "Come to me, and I'll give you your flesh and I will give your flesh to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field." And I like to think, in that moment when David is writing this, does he think back to Goliath in that moment of what he said and then remember the outcome of that and what God brought him out of and to from there? That's just something I like to think. I think it just humanizes David.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's like probably him thinking of his past victories to then like establish his confidence, I guess.
Yeah, which I think is like a really like helpful tool for us today, is like remembering and looking back when we are in times of pain or trouble, looking back and seeing where God has actually really come alongside us and help us to get that victory and shown his faithfulness. I think that's really helpful from David. Is like, hey, when you feel like you're in a time of trouble, look back and see where God has carried you through, because he will have.
Absolutely.
Sometimes it just takes some hindsight.
Yeah, I just want to focus on these first 3 verses specifically. And I think it gives a bit of a glimpse into David's relationship to God. That's sort of how intimate they are. Like all of he mentions an army, though an army besiege me, and he talks about how his enemies will stumble and fall. And I think it just shows all of these great odds, even these like systematic evils that are chasing him down or are surrounding him. They don't paralyze him. That he's not afraid of them, which I just find really interesting.
Whom shall I fear?
Yeah.
And then his response to that is then looking at verse 4 is then he's got this confidence. He's got his firmly rooted in God's powerful. And it's the one thing I ask the Lord that I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all my days. Gaze on his beauty, seek him in his temple. And again, that tone feels a bit different, where it's like it's gone from big power to intimate relationship.
It's like contemplation.
Yeah, absolutely. And one little note that I wrote that like saying I just want to seek him in his temple. At this time, I mean, if you've read through the Bible, there's quite a lot of temples throughout it where they keep building ones and they get destroyed and they build some big ones. But at this point, there isn't, like the temple's like a tent. Like it's not this big grand thing. It's just purely a place where God was present. And I think that's really beautiful. And then because of Jesus coming and all that good stuff, like we have access to that, like wherever we are, whether we're in a bedroom or on the train or on the bus to school or whatever it is. Is that actually we can seek him in those places because his presence is present.
Yeah, amen. And yeah, that's so interesting as well, because he says that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life.
Yeah,
because I guess that is where God's presence was.
Yeah,
for him back then. But I love that God's presence is actually with us and within us now. So we always have access to him.
Yeah.
I also love how, like, in times of like need, the thing that David wants and is seeking for his strength is God's presence.
Yeah.
It's not like, God, you need to give me really strategic battle plans of how I can conquer this enemy and do this, and I need to know the best armor and all of this. It's like, I actually just need to be with God, and to seek his presence and to pray to him and to worship him. And it's like in those moments of being with God and gazing on the beauty of God, seeking him in his temple, like literally just pursuing intimate relationship with God, that his strength and his confidence is then like born from that.
I think there's a lot to learn there, because how often in times of stress or in times of turmoil is God our immediate reaction? Yeah, like go straight to God. I think oftentimes, for me at least, I don't know if it's the same for you guys, where it's almost like you forget that God's there. You don't go straight to God. You go, oh, let me try fix this. Let me try do this. Oh, maybe I can, like, it goes straight into like work mode of how do I solve this problem? But I think something that David does here is he goes straight to the tabernacle. He goes straight to, he just wants to be with God. God is his sanctuary here. And I think there's a lot to learn from that.
I think that's so true. I think it's so easy for us to try and find answers or try and find clarity. I mean, my pastor recently did a whole sermon on like, is clarity your idol? And I was like, wow. And it's like, that's so interesting, even just what you guys are saying, where I just feel challenged, which is like, it's going to him, and then that's where he will, be kept safe in his dwelling, and he'll be hidden in the shelter, and like God will place him on a high rock and care for him, and like that's actually the solution to what's going on. And again, the second half goes into more like his, like, I'm struggling here, God, but this is his bread and butter. Like, this is what he does. This is what he does.
This is what he does.
Do you guys have anything to add for verse 5 or verse 6?
I think just the thing that stands out to me there is how his response is to worship God. Like it seems like in the presence of his enemies, or like this is the formula, don't know if, like, of victory is to literally worship God and put God first. And it reminds me of the Gideon when he went into battle and it was not looking good for him. I can't remember where in the Bible it is, but
We'll trust you.
Thanks. Double check. But basically there's this battle that Gideon and his army are about to go into, and they do not have enough men for the amount of people they're going up against.
Yeah.
Was it 300? 300 men?
I can't remember.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's along those lines.
Yeah, but basically I just remember that God said to send the worshippers out first.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. And then they won the battle. And so I think there's something really powerful in using worship, not only as a tool of growing, tool isn't the right word, but as a way of growing closer to Jesus, to God, but also as a weapon in times of trouble.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's so many songs that speak into that too, actually, isn't it? It's like, this is how I fight my battles, or like, it's in Raise a Hallelujah, where it's speaking about like my weapon is a melody.
Yes.
Like all of that. I think the little note I had, because it's about like, my head will be exalted or lifted. And there's two things that make the head like hang low, and that's normally like fear and shame, and how like hope eases both of these things. And actually a lot of the time it's like in worship, that is us being like, I'm putting my hope in something beyond my circumstances.
Yeah.
So I find that quite helpful.
Yeah, I love that. And as well, when we worship, it's like we're very intentionally fixing our gaze on God.
Yeah.
And it's quite hard to, I know it's easy for your mind to drift, but at the same time, when you're in an environment of worship and when you're being really intentional about it, it's like, okay, like you're choosing to lay everything else down.
Yeah.
And to be like, okay, God, I'm laying everything down so I can lift you up.
Or at least trying to.
Trying to.
I think that's what I find quite encouraging. I'm like, I don't know if I'm doing it, but I'm trying. And I think God sees that.
And God does see that. God looks at the
definitely.
heart behind it, which I love.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's the first half.
Should we move to the second half?
Yeah. So that's a lot of like celebration, a lot of confidence. And then the second half is like, oh, he does have some struggles.
Yeah.
And he's a bit confused. So Zoe, would you like to read the second half, which is 7 to the end, please?
Yes, of course. Hear my voice when I call, Lord. Be merciful to me and answer me. My heart says of you, seek his face. Your face, Lord, I will seek. Do not hide your face from me. Do not turn your servant away in anger. You have been my helper. Do not reject me or forsake me, God my Saviour. Though my father and mother forsake me, the Lord will receive me. Teach me your way, Lord. Lead me in a straight path because of my oppressors. Do not hand me over to the desire of my foes, for false witnesses rise up against me, spouting malicious accusations. I remain confident of this. I will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Wait for the Lord. Be strong and take heart, and wait for the Lord.
Well, that feels real, doesn't it?
Yeah. There's a lot here.
So what jumps out to you?
The first thing that jumps out to me is something that me and Zoe, and actually Joel, you can't see Joel, but he's sat over there. We've been speaking about this a lot recently, and it's, I want to come back to it where it says, my heart says, if you seek his face, your face, Lord, I will seek. And then here, do not hide your face from me. Do not turn your servant away in anger. And that right there seems to imply that almost as though David feels that God is distant, right? And I find quite interesting that in that feeling, he doesn't turn away out of disappointment. David doesn't kind of go, oh, well, this is, I'm through, I'm done, I'm over it. No, he actually presses in deeper.
Yeah.
And I think that is, we spoke about this yesterday, right? It's an when God does feel distant, I think there is a invitation to press deeper and to actually remind yourself, who is God? Who do I know God to be? What is his character, right? And base myself on truth rather than how I feel at the time. Because if anything about this section, this entire last half is pretty anxious.
Yeah.
And I think that oftentimes in those sort of impulsive moments, we do throw our hands up. But instead, I would recommend, and I think by the looks of things, David would recommend to press in.
Yeah.
I wrote a very similar thing actually, because I think it's like God invites us to seek. And I think in this situation, David felt like he was invited to seek, but then God felt hidden.
Yeah.
And it's like, and his response isn't anger. It's like actually in the disappointment, he instead like leans in even more and goes to him and asks more. And I do think also, again, like looking back at what we even reading just a second ago, is like actually it's his past help from God is a reason for him to like expect future help as well. As you were saying, like it's reminding that God is faithful, that God does take you through stuff, God is all of that. But I think it's beautiful that his response, exactly as you were saying, is like it's not to be like, oh, well, you told me to seek and you're not here, so bye. It's actually like, you told me to seek, I don't see you, so I'm going to push in even more. I think that's like such a challenge, but also such an encouragement.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree.
And he actually he goes in from there, he goes, you have been my helper, right? So he goes back to, once again, what we just said, who he knows God to be.
Yeah.
He looks back and goes, wow, look at all these times
You
God
have
has helped me.
Yeah.
And that God has been my, let's go back to the very start, sanctuary, right? My light, my salvation, my stronghold.
Yeah.
He will do that again. And I think, once again, David dropping a bit of wisdom.
Yeah.
Thank you, David.
And I think as well, like in verses 9, I feel like there's an invitation there for us to be honest with God. It's like in the midst of this pain and this, I don't know exactly how David was feeling in this moment, but in the midst of all of these feelings, he didn't choose to hide how he truly felt from God.
Yeah.
Because he knows that he can come before God exactly as he is. And I think that that's really telling of God's character as a loving father who is like always there to welcome us in and like to hide us in the shadow of his wing and just care for us. And so I do think there's an invitation there, like when we're going through hard times or whatever it is, like we can be honest with God because he can handle our big emotions. We don't just have to be all pristine before
Absolutely.
him. What are you going to say, Zoe?
No,
Grinning at me.
I haven't moved my legs in a while, and now this one is numb. Completely. I can't feel it.
Oh, no.
I got those pins and needles. I got to move a
Sorry.
little bit.
Well,
Please continue.
I'm going to move us along. I want to
You do
look
it.
at briefly verse 11 that says, teach me your ways, Lord, lead me in a straight path. I think that verse, like those words, like teach me your way.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't understand. Show me your way. This is his prayer now. This is like,
Yes.
where are you? And this is what he's now saying. And then lead me in a straight path. Like he's not actually asking for an easy path. He's asking for like a level path. He's looking for one that, like there's no pitfalls or like his foes like waiting for him. He just wants like a part, like lead me in a straight path. And I think that's even, again, God hasn't promised us a world of comfort. Like we're not meant to be comfortable and feeling super safe all the time. But it's like, but we are praying for our paths to be straight and that we'll walk along that. So that's those little words have always stood out to me.
Yeah, I love that. And as you were speaking, I was reminded of Isaiah 55, verses 8 and 9. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. And it's like, we can trust in God.
In his ways.
In his ways, because his ways are better.
Even if we don't see it or know it.
Even if we don't see it or know it. And just jumping ahead a little bit to the last two verses, 13 and 14, is like the theme of confidence has come back in again at the very end after all of this lament. After
the end of his prayer is like, okay.
Yeah, victory, celebration, like, God, I remember who you are in the midst of all of my pain and my troubles and my laments. I remember who you are, God. And there was like a note on verse 13 on the land of the living. And like, what does that actually mean? And somebody wrote that it was like the now, the present, like this earth. And David was remembering in that moment that God is with him right now and he will see the goodness of God right now. And I think that that is like a testament to us today as well. Like we can look around and even though our circumstances may look dreary and dull, actually the goodness of God and his character is steadfast and remains the same. And we can like latch onto that truth to strengthen us in the midst of that. And then also verse 14, I'd love to hear what you guys think about this as well. But verse 14, wait for the Lord, be strong and take heart and wait for the Lord. That is like such a hard thing to do. Waiting is like, waiting
is bad.
Waiting is great.
It's hard.
It's
Let me
hard.
rephrase it. It's difficult.
I don't have patience. I don't want patience. I just don't want to have to wait.
It's a hard thing,
bruh.
It's like it can be boring. You don't really know what to do. It's like
uncertain.
What am I waiting for? The clarity thing as well. Stressful, especially when I think a lot of us enjoy the idea of having some sort of control over the trajectory of our lives. And so like just waiting for something that you don't really know. Yeah. Well, actually, it's not that you don't really know. We're waiting for God. Yeah. This we really know. But it's more what is God gonna bring after the waiting? What is he bringing with him? What is he inviting us to step into, to learn through the waiting period, as well as what he's going to bring us at the end of that? There was a commentary that reminded me of Isaiah chapter 40 verse 31, which is, but they who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint.
That's really similar actually, isn't it? Like the parallels of even like saying be strong and take heart is basically saying like there's strength in the Lord for those who seek him and trust him. And I guess we have to just trust that in the waiting that it's not purposeless, that like God's in it and like actually his promises are true. So we just have to wait for it. And like learning what those promises are, it's not necessarily going to be promised a sports car, but like actually he's promised to be present. He's promised that when you seek him, you will find him. And maybe that's what David's chatting about in this, which is like, you promised me that I can find you where you at. And so it's like it's holding on to those promises that are actually true, and they're the ones that are in the Bible about his love and his presence and all that good stuff.
You know, one thing I quite like about how this ends, it ends on quite a hopeful note. Like in the middle of all this sort of anxiety where he's writing about how, you know, do not reject me, don't leave me, don't run away from me, be here, right? It ends on a almost like an assertion that God is coming to the rescue, and it feels like he's talking to his readers. It feels like he's talking to me. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Yeah, that he's writing from his deep well of experience of God as a stronghold. Right, verse 1. That if I know God, wait for him. He is coming, and that's how I kind of take that last sort of couple verses there.
Yeah.
I also think like really practically we can take the structure in our own prayer lives. And like I think of, because I journal a lot, and I always try to begin with Thanksgiving and then also like end in Thanksgiving. So otherwise it can be a lot of like, I'm in pain, I'm really sad, where are you, why is this happening, what am I waiting for? But instead it's like what it should be sandwiched in the confidence of who God is and like being rooted in that. It's transformative. Like even if our prayers don't feel like they're changing anything, like they're going to be changing us if that's our mentality, because it's like a grateful heart and seeking God in that.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I like this psalm.
You do like this psalm, don't you?
I like this psalm a lot. Yeah. Anyways, that's it.
I like that psalm.
Any final thoughts?
I too like this psalm. It's good. I like what you said there about we take this sort of the way this is written and use it in our prayer lives and in our own sort of personal walks with God. I agree. I think that's a really good point that I'm going to take on board. Thank you, Izzy.
You're welcome. Right, well, I think that's all we've got for today. Thank you for looking at a psalm with me.
And me.
And also me.
Come get some. Okay, great. I can't think of an emoji to put in.
Maybe light, like the sun.
Oh,
The Lord is our light.
a
and
little
our salvation.
sunshine, little light bulb,
Yeah.
little anything that illuminates.
Star.
Yeah.
Star, the moon, as a reflection. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. Please join us again.
Please be blessed.
Be blessed. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Have a nice day or a nice evening, whatever you're doing. Goodbye. Bye.